Hey guys, Clay Albright here. Want to chit chat a little bit about EOS. I assume since you pulled this video up, you're either interested in learning more about EOS, which is me, or you're so darn excited about it that you just want to hear other people's opinions, which is me. So, why is EOS so dang important? EOS is going to allow individuals to program apps and host them on a free online platform. Why do I care about that? Because companies like Amazon.com or Google or YouTube, Google, or eBay, or any of these online internet type companies, they have all grown an exorbitant amount in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, some of the top net worth companies out there are internet companies. They haven't even been around since post 2000. And yet they've zoomed in billions and billions of dollars to the top of the list. And they were funded the old school way, going public. Well, EOS is going to allow anybody to quote unquote go public on their platform for a fraction of the expense. Dare I say, even free. Now, you can almost liken it to Microsoft. Back in the day when the computer was new, Microsoft brilliantly put together Windows operating system. It was an operating system that allowed you to go out and buy software, download it to your, or put it on your server, on your hard drive, and run that software parallel alongside lots of other softwares that you wanted to buy, programs that you wanted to buy. Maybe you were running QuickBooks and something else at the same time on Windows. So what happened? I mean, it must have seemed like overnight to Microsoft, but within a matter of years, Windows became a standard for businesses all over the world. Eventually, it even crept into the personal computer and became the standard for individual users all over the world. This is Microsoft, right? Operating system. Well, EOS is doing the next generation operating system where it's all based online. That is why EOS is so dang important, is because no longer do you have to buy the software and put it on your hard drive. No longer do you have to maintain your own data for your business in a server room with hundreds of thousands of dollars of servers and equipment that are constantly needing upgrading, and then pay database administrators and security administrators to manage that data and make sure that no one's hacking it, okay? There was a massive expense to that, and then the larger your company got, the bigger that expense got. I mean, these expenses are astronomical for any business, but they were necessary. Well, now EOS promises to change all that. No longer do you need to host your data on your own servers in your server room. You could put it on a decentralized platform where your transactions are free. You need a deposit. You have to own some EOS coins for the whatever size bandwidth you need. But if you one day decide that you don't need that bandwidth anymore, you can pull your coins out. You delete your data and get your coins back. So it truly is a deposit. So you can only imagine that when EOS launches in June, with reportedly a swarm of apps already built and ready to go, it's going to become a magnet for all businesses. Any business could benefit from having their data on EOS. Well, just like Microsoft became business first and then individual later, EOS will start off business first because there's a massive savings, and will eventually end up where individual users want to have presence on EOS. Think about Facebook. Or back in the days when the internet was first invented, it was the .com boom. Everybody was going after the domain names, travel.com, eatsushi.com, whatever. But it was a lot of businesses that were going online, right? Well, then with the popularity of Facebook, essentially it took the website to the individual. Now every individual who logs into Facebook can have their own website without having to create one and host it and all that stuff. They can have their own website, a personal website for them, their family, their friends. They can share information. I'm not a huge Facebook user, but I understand it, obviously. And Facebook brought websites to the individual. EOS will bring the same type of thing to the individual through a competitor to Facebook that is hosted on EOS, a decentralized Facebook. It can possibly impact every single human being on the planet in some way across all sectors of business. If you're on the EOS blockchain, you have an app on the EOS blockchain, your app and anybody else's app can communicate. That's unheard of. Also, if you're on EOS and you're a user and you're logged in, then you could bounce from app to app and never have to re-log in or log out because you're on the same blockchain. For example, Steemit is built on the Steem blockchain. DTube, which is decentralized YouTube, DTube is also built on the Steem blockchain. You can be logged into Steemit, which you're really logged into Steem, and then you can click on a DTube link. It'll take you to open up a new page for DTube, and you'll notice that you're already logged into it. And it's not because you saved a cookie and that's how you got logged in. It's because you're on the same blockchain. You never logged out. You have access to everything on there with one login, one identity. Now, I think you can have multiple identities, and there's an app coming out called Scatter that does exactly that. It manages your profile. And so, if you're on EOS and you want to buy something from, we'll call it Damazon, which is decentralized Amazon. I know you love these. You could go from Damazon to Duber, that's decentralized Uber, to DTube, to Steemit, or not Steemit, but maybe a possible other social media platform built on EOS. You could bounce to all of these without ever having to log in. In fact, your wallet showing how much EOS or Steem or whatever you have will be available to you like you never logged out. I mean, they're all. It's almost. Sorry, I have a GPS in my ear and it's bugging me. But you have an identity on EOS. You go in and say, okay, I'm Clay Albright. This is my age, my birth date, my credit card numbers, my debit card, my banking account. This is any information that is required of, on these different apps. You can put into your identity. Well, then when you go to Amazon or Damazon, they may want some of that data, but you don't have to log in and give it to them. You don't have to constantly be putting in your debit card information into different websites. No, you just allow them to access yours. So it flips everything around. Instead of you having to constantly show who you are, which is insecure because you're putting your data out there all the time. You put your data in once, it's super protected, and then when the company says, hey, we love your debit card information, well, of course, okay, because I'm getting ready to make a purchase, so yeah, you can have that. But I didn't have to put it in. See my point? It's gonna act like a new, almost internet. That one that is going to be capable of many, many more things when you consider the fact that you're dealing in cryptocurrency on this new internet rather than the fiat US dollar, which, let's just take, Uber, for example. If you're a decentralized Uber, you're not going to have the same friction on your money that you do when you're actually an Uber and you're using US dollars. US dollars are expensive to move around. And everybody's in there getting a cut. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or whatever. They're all in there getting a little cut on that money because you get it. Well, a decentralized Uber won't have that same friction on money. But more importantly, they won't have Uber, the corporate office, and the owners of Uber taking out 25%. That's their cut, taking a 25% cut on every single ride. Billions of dollars. Those dollars get put into the company, into the year, shareholder report, the whole shebang, right? For Uber. For Duber, you either don't have the centralization, so you don't require the 25%, or you somehow incorporate a transaction fee that gets paid to maybe the developers that are developing Duber. Regardless, it takes the money and it allocates it to those who own the coin. Basically, there's so many other reasons why EOS is going to just change so many things. It's, if you go back and think about how the internet was created, it wasn't very well planned out. We know that. It just kind of happened and it grew like crazy, and now it looks like a big spider web. The actual internet, right? Well, engineers these days understand that, had they to do it over again, they could have really changed the dynamics of how the internet works by putting a little bit of organization in there. EOS, along with IPFS, which is Interplanetary File System, brilliant in its own right, promise to organize the internet in a way that will allow anyone to host data on EOS, quickly retrieve that data in a secure manner. It'll allow companies to go from 0 subscribers to 1 million subscribers overnight without the added cost of the server room and the security and the protection. Literally, they just have to own a few EOS coins to get on the bandwidth, or to use the bandwidth on the system. Motivation for I think one of the most important things that Dan has done, and it's just been his evolution through this process, but I think that the motivation when it comes to EOS, they're all aligned. And what do I mean by that? Well, one, the transactions are free. So when you compare it to any other platform, free wins every single time. You can't host something on Ethereum, quote unquote, forever, because you would run out of gas. It charges you for the transactions that you run. You could, in theory, host something on EOS forever as long as you have enough deposit tokens to support your program. That is big. Free transactions is huge. Then there's the speed. The speed and the the speed of the transactions is obviously key. Ethereum's handling like 30 transactions a second. I think Bitcoin's doing like a handful. So when EOS comes out and it's popping 50,000 plus transactions a second, which is already more than Visa, then you could see where a payment company could drastically put a dent in some of these other financial systems and how they operate and their costs. EOS is something I would like to host my website on because it's secure, it's free. I have to put a deposit, of some EOS coins in. But if I ever want to get rid of my website, I can get my coins back. And that's just one tiny example for me. But I mean, there's a reason for anyone to get something positive out of EOS. But let's go a step further than that, because EOS actually could help solve many of the problems that we see in our world today. For example, I'm in the US. Our politicians, of which half of them are crooks. Now, I believe most of them have been compromised in some disgusting way from the cabal, and they've basically pledged their allegiance to the dark side. And that is why you see such a ferocious attempt to remove Donald Trump from office, is because he's, quite frankly, the only guy willing to stand up to him. Regardless of how you feel about Donald Trump as a president, he is fighting the good fight right now against the evil in our country. A system like EOS, which is decentralized, could offer solutions to the voting problems that we've had, where we believe that voting was rigged. Specifically, the Democratic vote was rigged in many states. You couldn't outsource the voting to an individual company. Let's just say, Amazon, because they're in freaking everything, says, hey, we got a great voting system, use our software. Well, then you have to trust Amazon. Well, Amazon's privately held, or not privately held, but Amazon is not decentralized. It is a centralized operation. Therefore, it could be compromised. When it comes to the politicians, what if EOS had an app that allowed all of us to monitor and track these spending habits when it comes to the tax dollars of our politicians? Where's the money going? Follow the money. Cryptocurrency is brilliant in that way because it's hard to track cash. Once it leaves your hand, it's gone. But when on a digital currency, you can be anonymous or you don't have to be anonymous. What if there were digital currency that was able to be tracked no matter where it went, and you could let's say that your tax dollars were turned into some type of a cryptocurrency, and then from there you were able to see that here's the budget for let's just say your local city and your mayor, and the mayor pledges to spend X amount of dollars in these different categories. Well, with digital currency, you can monitor that. You can watch it happen. And all of a sudden, there's a couple $1 million that squeezes out to this no-name anonymous Bitcoin account. And you're like, well, Mr. Politician, what's going on over here? And see, you wouldn't even have known that happened if you're dealing with the US dollar and fiat currency. But in digital currency, you can't help but to see it. It's transparent. That's the word, transparent. EOS is going to bring transparency to our governments, our politicians, our voting processes. These are fundamental, issues that we are having that EOS could potentially resolve. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. But if the voters are pushing for transparency, and EOS offers a level of transparency that is unprecedented in the world, then over time, we get one small city to adopt, this EOS platform to monitor spending, because the guy who ran for office swore he was going to do the right thing by the people, and he even said he might have won the candidacy because he promised to use a transparent financial app that allowed everyone to see where his money goes and how he is spending the state's money or the city's money. You kind of get my drift. Transparency is a big deal, and it's going to become the way of the future, because this is the only way we're going to be able to get away from these major corporations that are screwing over the entire population. Google, great idea, obviously. They've done super well. And then they go public with the Alphabet Soup Company. And who knows who really owns it now? I mean, who's got the most shares? Who's pushing the buttons at all the shareholder meetings? And what's their agenda? You see my point? Once a business goes public, then honestly, it's sort of being ran by the elite and the truly wealthy. You can have shares in it, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to have enough shares to make a dent if they want to go buy them all up. Well, EOS, because they did a whole year distribution on their token, has a wide customer base. Not just one or two or 5 individuals can buy up all those EOS tokens and then own the system, essentially, through voting rights. And that was Dan's big motivation on the, taking this thing a whole 12 months to do the ICO. I mean, if you really think about it, he was so confident in what he had that he was willing to wait 12 months to put it out. Now, he was also brilliant because all the money from his ICO is going to him. But he knew that was the most important thing. You could have the greatest system in the world, Ethereum, Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, it's going to be